So Trump and the Republicans have successfully defunded the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, aka PBS and NPR, in favor of their new propaganda machine, PragerU, which they are using to indoctrinate kids. Yeah, we about to get into it. But hey, since you're already here, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so that you'll be the first to know when we post new videos. This is Pragmotiv News, and it's your boy Trey. So maybe you're one of the few out there who doesn't want NPR and PBS to be funded by your tax dollars. But the notion that Sesame Street somehow had this woke agenda that was turning our kids liberal is just as absurd as Trump proclaiming that he beat Joe Biden. It's just plain propaganda. That's all it is. It's propaganda. But the real danger comes from videos like these.
Escape to the North, where slavery is against the law and have never looked back. Today, I'm a free American, fighting for all to be free.
How can there be slavery in America when the Founding Fathers said that all men are created equal?
Yeah, and I've heard that some of those Founding Fathers owned slaves. What about that?
Children, our Founding Fathers knew that slavery was evil and wrong, and they knew that it would do terrible harm to the nation. They wanted it to end, but their first priority was getting all 13 colonies to unite as one country. The southern colonies were dependent on slave labor, and they wouldn't have joined a union that had banned it.
Are you okay with that?
I'm certainly not okay with slavery, but the Founding Fathers made a compromise to achieve something great, the making of the United States. If they immediately outlawed slavery after winning independence, the southern colonies would have formed their own slave-owning country.
And we got another one for y'all.
Okay, I'll listen.
Well, for starters, I was born a slave in Virginia. I never knew anything about my father, and my mother had to work very hard. She couldn't spend all her time taking care of every little thing for me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I see what you mean. Was being a slave hard?
It was terrible. I rarely got enough
hard?
to eat, and I worked all the time. Hard work is great when you can benefit from it, but I couldn't because I was a slave. I remember my mother praying every day that freedom would come. And when I was about 7 years old, those prayers were answered.
The Civil War?
Yes. During the Civil War, thanks to the Emancipation Proclamation, President Abraham Lincoln made slavery illegal in the South like it had been in the North. And as soon as the war was over and the Union Army took control of the area of Virginia where my mother and I lived, we left to meet up with my stepfather in West Virginia.
I hate that our country had slavery. Mr. Washington, sometimes do you wish you could have lived somewhere else? Like a different country?
That's a great question. And I hate slavery too, but it's been a reality everywhere in the world. And even now in 1910, it's still happening in other countries. Despite our nation not always living up to our declaration that all men are created equal, I am still so proud and thankful to be an American.
Even though you were a slave?
Exactly, because I was, and not anymore. America was one of the first places on earth to outlaw slavery, and hundreds of thousands of men gave their lives in a war that resulted in my freedom. So yes.
So, do y'all really want your kids getting skewed, misrepresented information, perpetuating that age-old stereotype about only white being right? Videos like these are perpetuating that Andrew Tate red pill toxicity that is plaguing guys all across the globe right now. We recently talked about this on episode 12 of the Pragmotiv podcast. So, to recap, the red pill concept comes from the 1999 movie The Matrix. In the movie, the red pill means embracing sometimes uncomfortable, challenging the truth about reality, and even if it disrupts everything familiar. While the blue pill means remaining in comfortable ignorance, accepting the conventional story or the illusion, and avoiding difficult truths. So people like Tate have co-opted this concept from a movie of all places and have turned it into what I feel is a toxic masculinity movement to the likes of which we've never seen. The dangers of this were really evident in a Netflix show that I recently watched called Adolescence. Without spoiling too much for y'all, it follows a young kid who is accused of killing a girl in his class. However, the details of why he may have killed her directly point to this red pill propaganda. So like the boy in the show, I was fortunate enough to grow up in a household where I had a dad who showed me the example of treating my mom as an equal. I never saw him disrespect her in the ways the Tate movement encourages men to treat women. But sadly, having that example in the home isn't always a deterrent for these kind of toxic views seeping into the minds of impressionable kids. You see, Tate describes himself as a misogynist. Here is some of his most controversial statements. He has said, quote, "I think women belong to the man. Females are the ultimate status symbol. I got these bitches just so everyone knows who the Don is." In 2017, he tweeted that women should bear, and I can't believe I'm seeing what I'm seeing, but he says, in 2017, he tweeted that women should, quote, "bear some responsibility. They should bear some responsibility for being sexually assaulted." Really, motherfucker? All right. He also stated that women are intrinsically lazy, emotional, and less rational than men. He went even further and said that there is no such thing as an independent female. Lastly, he said women need to be protected from their own irrational impulses. They require guidance and discipline from men to keep them in line. So some try to argue that he doesn't really mean all this hateful bullshit that he spews, but rather he's doing it for the shock value, for the views. But even if that were true, it should not be rewarded or condoned. The scarier thing is that he is platformed and able to influence young guys into believing this kind of bullshit. See, the way misinformation spreads is by starting with one kernel of truth or feeding on insecurities that lie beneath the surface. So let's take MAGA, for instance. For years, as wages declined, the people who were affected by that felt like they needed to find an answer as to why this was happening to them. For some, it was blaming immigrants and minorities for, quote, taking their jobs, instead of blaming the real culprits, which is the major corporations, who would eliminate every employee and replace them with AI if they could. Why, might you ask? Because payroll is the biggest expense for companies. So getting back to Tate, he is feeding on the insecurities of millennial, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha guys who feel awkward around girls because of a variety of issues. But the main ones being them feeling insecure about their body image and their financial status. Getting back to the show Adolescence on Netflix, I think the writers did a wonderful job portraying this, even though the show left me feeling terrified about our future and what it might hold if this kind of messaging and example continues to influence the next generation of men. So it's not enough for these bad actors just to influence preteens and teenagers. No, they want to start young. And that is why they're distorting history, while at the same time defunding the networks and TV shows that actually had professionals making content for kids. Think about the insurrection, for example. Yeah, some of those people were just the worst our society has to offer. I'm talking about racists, white nationalists, people who just want to see this country fall to its knees. You know, the anarchists. But how many of the people in that crowd actually believed that the election was illegitimately stolen from their preferred candidate? I mean, that still doesn't excuse their behavior, but they were brainwashed by the propaganda machine and were radicalized to the point of trying to overthrow the entire United States government. If that could happen to grown-ass people, what do we think will happen to our kids? America it's time to wake up. We can't keep sitting on the sidelines while they do shit like this. If Sesame Street and Arthur is gone, then it leaves a void for that garbage from PragerU. And kids will easily fall victim to misinformation and become radicalized. And then before you know it, your teenager will start thinking the only reason they have a mama is to make sandwiches and wash their damn clothes. And then when they have kids, that cycle will repeat itself. However, I do believe women will not put up with that shit, at least the women I know. Every one of them would beat my ass if I ever talked to them like that. And I'm not just talking about the older ones. I'm talking about my peers too. But this has broader implications. It's not just the people who are blatantly doing wrong, in my opinion, like PragerU. It's the people who will unknowingly be influenced by their points of view and then go out in the world and, program the algorithms for social media or become the next developer at ChatGPT. Then those biases get cemented into the tools everyday people use and become a part of society, just like the age-old gender stereotypes of women belonging in the kitchen or masculinity being defined by how many girls you got or how much sports you watch. But we all know the world is more nuanced than that, and people are deeper than that. Yes, some men like the color pink. And some women know more about sports than some men. This is normal and what makes the world a beautiful place. So if you're questioning whether things like PragerU is a part of the MAGA agenda, it very much is. Take a look at this post from Trump himself, blatantly saying the quiet part out loud. He says the Smithsonian is out of control because they mention, quote, how bad slavery was. As if there was anything good that came from slavery. You see what I'm saying? Doesn't that talking point sound eerily familiar to what PragerU had Frederick Douglass saying earlier? So to close this out, for those out there who get butthurt because people like me won't just go quietly into the night and give my country away to godless, racist, ill-hearted people, to you, I say I neither seek nor need your approval. Your opinion matters just as much as spam emails and robocalls. And my phone perpetually stays on do not disturb. But to others out there who are just sitting and observing, it's time to get up and get into this fight, or you will not have nothing left to fight for. The kind of reality the far right is trying to usher in is a place where women are here to serve men and push out babies and, quote, look good while doing it. And a place where men are all white, straight, and in service to a king that they are hell-bent on creating. It's sad to say, but they're getting close to achieving their goals. We are getting dangerously close to an America where you won't be able to do any of the things you enjoy doing today. Freedom will be gone. You won't be able to go to the store, the movies, travel freely, or throw a party unless it all aligns with the far-right ethno-state that they are trying to usher in. The worst part about technology like PragerU and distorted algorithms is that you will not be able to tell the difference between where the truth ends and the bullshit begins. We will live in a society that is convinced it's all normal. Children will be raised thinking slavery was a necessary evil, and then who knows? They'll start to change the narrative again and say slaves enjoyed slavery because they were, quote, well taken care of. Because I've actually heard this argument from some racists before. It's maddening that we live in a country that would attack me for saying this and then expect me to be okay with other people who are equal to me, looking down upon me and thinking they can enslave me. People who would actually look at the material things that I have in life and be jealous and think that because of the color of my skin, I should not have the things that I have. That's just plain evil. Anyway, this being Pragmotiv, you know I can't drop all this on you and dip. So what can we do? We can continue to call out the bullshit for what it is. And most importantly, be engaged with what is going on, because you got to know what dangers are out there in order to counteract them. And remember to vote. If your vote wasn't important, they wouldn't be trying so hard to gerrymander the hell out of this country to steal it. Recognize your power and act accordingly. So that's it for today, y'all. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and follow at Pragmotiv News everywhere to stay pragmotivated. Also remember, you can follow us and find us on all of the major platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, and iHeartRadio, so that you can listen to us even when you're on the go. So head on over there right now, follow us, and leave us a review, because believe it or not, that really helps us out. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.